Jared, what a weekend of college basketball. How are we feeling on this Monday morning now that the dust has started to settle a little bit?
Feeling good other than my dog freaking out this morning. I think there's a toy stuck under a chair or something, so I apologize if it's a little loud in here for a little bit. The dogs were definitely actually the dogs really weren't.
The dogs weren't barking this week.
They weren't.
They're barking right now.
Yeah, they're barking now. A lot of favorites this week. I do want to vent a little bit about the refs over the weekend because it was, I would say, a disjointed and frustrating weekend to watch college basketball, especially that the Purdue Texas game, where Texas shot 46 free throws in the game. Purdue shot 46 free throws in the game. But for the most part, I think it was pretty entertaining.
I would say, to go along with what you're saying about the refs, the Gonzaga-Memphis game for me, also the refs getting involved the way they did in the second half and really putting that game on its heels. I mean, Memphis deserved, I thought, to win that game outright. I mean, that was the shot. If Gonzaga was going to lay an egg again in the tournament, I think that was going to be the game. But across the board, I mean, great games. My bracket was done. They won. I mean, I just wanted to make it one day. I had Kentucky winning it all. I just wanted to make it one day. But we couldn't even do that. But that's March, right? That's March. Big news in college basketball today. Maryland announcing a new head coach, Kevin Willard, Seton Hall's old head coach there, going over to coach the Terps, taking over for Mark Turgeon. What are your initial thoughts about that hire?
Good hire. I think there's a couple of interesting names being floated around for some other jobs. I do think at this stage of the college basketball season, it's really tough to put your finger on which name is going to be the hot name until a guy like Shaheen Holloway, goes nuts in the tournament and makes. I mean, in my opinion, Seton Hall, if they don't hire him, it was almost like a seamless transition with Willard leaving and now Holloway's emergence in the tournament. That kind of opens the door. When God closes a door, he opens a window, right? That's how the saying goes. And that's kind of, what happened this week with Seton Hall, with the Willard, leaving to Maryland. I think he's a good coach. He's done a really nice job at Seton Hall over the years. So I wouldn't be shocked if he turns things around there at Maryland. Listen, Maryland's got a lot of talent, but they're in a new conference. It's kind of weird. It's been a weird Big Ten journey for Maryland. Like, I remember we were talking about it, I think, last week. They move into the conference and they expect to kind of revitalize the basketball world and the DC market. But I'll be honest, Maryland's been kind of a dud in the Big Ten, football and basketball.
Well, hold on. They're the last Big Ten team to win a championship. I saw a tweet that was pretty funny. It's pretty funny. I saw that tweet yesterday. I was like, that was good. That's good.
Technically, yes. Although they weren't in the Big Ten when they won.
They were in the ACC. Yes, 2002 they were in the ACC.
Yes. That actually. Do they update the records for that? I don't know if that counts.
I don't know if that. I just saw it was a funny tweet I just saw on the timeline yesterday.
Yeah. So I think when you look at Maryland as a program, they have the tools. They're in the DC market. They have history. They certainly have the pedigree. Now we'll see if they have a head coach that can kind of push them to where they weren't before, which is maybe a little consistent. Kevin Willard's tough. He's really tough. Defensive-minded guy, really turned around that Seton Hall program, which was kind of a dud for many years. And they were competitive, had some tournament runs. And now we'll see what Seton Hall does from here. And I think it's going to be Shaheen Hall. I'd be shocked if it wasn't.
I agree with you. I believe it's going to be Shaheen Holloway as well, especially when Willard on his way out he endorsed Shaheen. He said, hey, this is the guy, right? From the Maryland side, though, for a program that talks about, and we're in the Big Ten, not program. For a team that's
SEC, it's program in the Big Ten.
For a university that says that they're looking for a coach that can, win Big Ten titles, win national titles, and then they hire this guy. I don't know. We're talking about Shaheen Holloway. He's won more tournament games than Willard has in his whole time at Seton Hall, So this just seems like more of the same. And I feel like that's the vibe I'm getting from Maryland fans, at least initially.
Yeah, you got your finger on the pulse more than me down there.
Yeah, I just feel like a lot of people that are fans of Maryland were expecting a better hire than this. This just seems like more of the same when it comes to Mark Turgeon was at Maryland.
We'll
see.
That was a disaster. This was a disastrous season for Maryland. When you fire your head coach that early on and things just go off the rails, and they had a lot of talent. I mean, the talent is there. Like that's why they were a tough team to bet on or against, because when the talent showed up, they were a very good team, but inconsistent. Maybe Kevin, that is the one thing I agree. Seton Hall probably had more talent than their final tournament resume indicated, but they were consistently in the tournament every year.
Yes.
And they had high hopes and expectations and good players. And I think that is maybe the stability element of Kevin Will. Because listen, Seton Hall, it's not an easy place to recruit. You're in New York City.
That 2020 Seton Hall team, when there was no tournament, that was a really good Seton Hall team as well.
They were some really good teams. And they just, you're right, and we talked about this with the Mountain West, and we can talk about it with the SEC too. I think it's unfair to grade a coach based off of just their tournament, final record, because you see how crazy these games are. They're freaking nuts. They're absolutely insane. One and done, you're out. I think the full body of work, your recruiting, how consistently you're in the rankings, in the tournament with the top seed, with good players. I think Kevin Willard succeeded in a difficult – listen, again, Seton Hall, there's no big sprawling campus. There's not a big budget. It's not a football school. They don't bring in a lot of money from donors. It's really tough to be successful there, and he was successful there. I think he'll bring that to Maryland. Maryland has a much bigger budget and a much bigger, ability to win. They have the facilities. They've got the football program. They've got the conference backing in the Big Ten. I think he'll be more successful there than Mark Turgeon was.
We'll see if he can keep the talent home. That's going to be the first order of business there. All right, we're going to talk some more college basketball, but before we do, make sure you subscribe to the Pickswise YouTube channel and download the Pickswise app, available in the Apple App Store and on Google Play. On today's show, we have a lot to get to. We are going to talk more college basketball, recap the weekend, react, and take a look ahead at what we hope to be is another exciting weekend of basketball. We're going to take a look at the NBA, give out some ice picks, and then finish things off with our plays of the day. So without further ado, let's bet it. And Jared, let's continue this college basketball talk here, because we're talking a lot about conferences. And if you follow me on social media, you saw on, was that Thursday with the opening day of the tournament?
All the days blend together.
They blended together. Whatever the first day was, as soon as Colorado
today, I thought it was Sunday. Like, I swear. I honestly woke up today thinking it was Sunday.
As soon as Colorado State gave me my first loss in my bracket, I decided that I was going to take that up and just bury the whole Mountain West and just call them a one-bid league, which I still believe they should be a one-bid league.
We can argue.
The Mountain West, I believe, went 0-4 in the tournament, right? 0-4. Is that what they were? So, looking ahead, I mean, I think there are some conferences that we were really high on, right? Let's take a look at the Mountain West, the SEC, the Big Ten, and some conferences that maybe we weren't so high on or weren't really talking about, the Big 12 and the ACC, who are doing a lot better than maybe a lot of people expected. Just moving forward, now that we have that information, are you using that as you look to handicap these games moving forward?
No. I think the conferences matter maybe when we're initially talking about the tournament and they're a talking point. But for example, the ACC, if I'm looking at the college basketball RPI rankings for each conference this year, the ACC is 7th behind the Mountain West, behind the SEC, obviously. It's Big 12, SEC, Big East, Big 10, Pac-12, Mountain West, ACC 7th. Oh, by the way, the ACC went 8-2 against the spread this last week. So I think it's hard to take what you saw during the regular season, especially because the only non-conference games we get between these teams are in November and December. It's March. It's almost April. It's like these teams are so different. Freshmen and sophomores are now upperclassmen. The seniors are playing at a different level. The teams are different. And so I think it's a hard comparison to make. I will say this. The Mountain West reputation does not look good. The fact that they haven't won a tourney game now. And I was wrong. I was screaming from the mountaintops how good this conference was earlier.
A lot of people were wrong.
They did not play well in the tournament. They really didn't. I think they didn't show the ability to close games. Maybe that's individual talent. Maybe that's one-on-one. They don't have the high-end players. But then again, neither does St. Peter's. but they were able to close out Kentucky. So I just think it's hard to go apples to apples on the conferences at this stage. I think it's more about each individual matchup, how well each team is playing, and the makeup, the guts of each team against each other team. And, I think it's a capper's tournament now, especially now that we're in the Sweet 16. I think the conferences mean absolutely nothing.
I'm going to ask you to please never disrespect my guy, Doug Eddard, again. He closes out games. St. Peter's has a big-time closer.
I have to shave it off.
The stash is incredible.
The stash
is incredible there. All right, so let's look at the bracket now and kind of preview a little bit next weekend here. Is there a team that's not a 3 seed that you trust to keep their run going? I'm looking at this, and I really like UCLA, but I like UCLA, but just how UNC played against Baylor, especially defensively, kind of makes me take a step back, and I'm going to take a couple more days to think about this, because I think the knock on UNC all season long was they don't play defense. And they played pretty well against Baylor, so I'm not really sure what to expect from this UNC team. What do you think?
I love UNC. But yeah. I'm a little worried that they kind of, overextended themselves.
You think they've reached their ceiling a little bit?
I don't think they can play any better than they played against Baylor over the weekend. And I think they played well against Marquette. Marquette was a team that was very volatile also this season. But I think when you look at what UNC did, they scored 95 and 93 points. I know one of the games went to overtime, but that game was, they were in the 80s even before overtime. I think when you look at what the Tar Heels have been all year, it has been very volatile. And when you get UCLA, who has been the model of consistency, not only last year, but this year, across the board, just consistent. Not too high, not too low. They showed you their best against St. Mary's, I think. And I looked at the early splits. Everybody's on UNC. Everybody's taking the points with the Tar Heels next Friday night. I'm seeing 75% of the bets right now. Early bets. Monday.
Early bets.
But it is an indication of where the public feels the Tar Heels are, which is not a deserving underdog. And I have not seen that line move at all. I will likely be betting UNC in that game. I have made 2 bets already, actually 3 bets, but 2 of them on the same team for the Sweet 16. UNC is not on the list yet. If I'm going to bet that game, which I likely will, because let's be honest, at this point, there's only 15 games left. I'll probably have a bet on all 15. I think UCLA is the way I would be looking there.
We got a comment in the chat here. Of course, you already know what team they want to talk about. Know what team they want. Let's talk about Providence, because what are your thoughts? Because I think the knock on them all season, all tournament has been lucky team. They're not great. Just find a way, but they're still here. I mean, do we need to give Providence some flowers here? Do they have a shot against Kansas? You're gonna take the 7 points with Providence?
No, I think Providence's run ends in the Sweet 16. So shot quality. We've talked about shot quality before. It's like this analytics website. They do a great job, by the way, of they grade the quality of your shot, and they kind of reevaluate what the final score should have been based off of, how good, if you take good shots or not. Providence should have lost the game to Richmond by 3 based off of shot quality. They won by 20, 30? They blew out Richmond. And listen, that's been the knock on this Providence team all year. The results are good, but the way they get to the end of the rainbow is ugly. Ugly, ugly, ugly. Kansas is a different animal. Kansas can beat you in so many different ways. And Remy Martin was fantastic over the weekend. I'll be honest. I thought Kansas was going to cover that game because Remy Martin got 10 minutes more than I expected him to get. He almost played 30 minutes in that game. He hadn't been playing a lot of minutes since his injury. He is a guy that I think will be the difference maker in the tournament for Kansas. He's the reason why I picked Kansas to win it all. Remy Martin is a difference maker. And I think Obagi, Martin, then you got McCormick in the middle, who can be a little bit volatile sometimes too. Providence, I don't see it. And everyone's on him. Listen, everyone's already on him. I'm seeing 70% of the bets, early bets on Providence as a dog. The line's moved down from 8.5 to 7.5 at MGM. at least there's line movement in Providence's direction. I can't say the same about UNC, but I'm going to be very cautious with these trendy dogs in the Sweet 16. UNC and Providence being the two biggies, and Duke's going to be a trendy dog too. I don't know how we feel about the Dukies, but they definitely are an underdog, slight underdog against Texas Tech. But these trendy dogs in the Sweet 16, they tend to have fleece.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking right now because I'm counting the games that are on the board, and I'm like, wait, there's one missing here. When are we going to get a St. Peter's Purdue line? When are we? Do you see
it?
one?
But you might not get it because of where. Well, I can't see it because I'm in Jersey, but it is 12.5. Purdue's laying 12.5. What do you think?
Is there a world where I can convince you on this Monday morning to take the 12.5 with St. Peter's?
Unless Zach Edey devolves into a 6'8" guy from 7'4".
Hold on. I hear what you're saying, and it all makes perfect logical sense, right? But did you see what Shaheen Holloway said?
I agree with you. They're not going to back down.
We're from Jersey. We're from New York. You think we're going to get pushed around?
That's what I say when I go on the streets and I go into the bodega trying to get my bacon, egg, and cheese. I'm like, yo, I'm from New York. You're not going to push me around, bro.
We need to talk about that after because
I saw your tweet.
I was in New York and I ordered bacon, egg, and cheese, and I thought I ordered it correctly, but the guy looked at me in a way that let me know that I did not order the proper way.
You got to be ready in those bodegas, man. They don't mess around.
Well, I knew that. I said it fast.
Yeah,
I said exactly what I wanted on. It just wasn't. It wasn't correct.
It's not a family-friendly atmosphere. Like, the guy's usually really angry, flipping the bacon on the griddle, and he looks behind. He's like, "What do you?"
They're not messing around. They're not messing around. There's no manners. There's no time for any. No, just boom. Yeah. One word. Our producer Jack says one word: bacon, egg, and cheese. One word.
See, I'm a turkey bacon guy. Maybe that makes me soft. It's okay. I'll take it. But the arteries, I got to keep them unclogged for my later years.
So there's nothing Zach Edey though. He's gonna be the problem.
Him and Williams.
I don't know because you're not pushing around anybody from Jersey City. You're not doing it.
Let's just leave it at this. I won't be laying 12.5 with Purdue. No, there's zero chance that I'm laying in that game. You either take the points or you find another way to bet that game. I will say this: the total is really high. It's like in the 130s, and I feel like St. Peter's a good defensive team. And I think that game's going to be – I think St. Peter's is going to try to turn that game into a rock fight because that's the only way that they beat Purdue. They just throw bodies at Ivy and, the same thing that Texas did last night. But Texas wasn't very successful at it because Texas just – they fouled way too much. Maybe the refs were the blame there. Maybe they weren't. I got shit for, talking crap on the refs this week, people calling me a whiner and a complainer.
No, the refs
I
are
don't
terrible.
know. I think 45 free throws to 12 is that's a tough watch.
Absolutely. Any final thoughts before we move on here to the NBA?
Yeah, so I locked in. I have two. I know we don't do early birds for college hoops, but we can this week because this is a good this week and next week are early bird weeks. And the reason I say that is the lines have already moved considerably towards the sharp angle. So Texas Tech opened as a pick'em. I got money line -110. I put 2 units on the -110 money line. It's already up to -1.5. So you're going to have to lay probably 20 or 30 cents with Texas Tech. Miami is the other game that I bet early. I got +1 on DraftKings. Then it moved to -1. I bet it again at -1, a unit each. Now I'm seeing -2.5 on Miami across the board. The Hurricanes are a steamy pick early on here in the Sweet 16 process. And the other big line move that I will mention is actually not really much else to mention line move-wise. I think Houston and Arizona is another fascinating game. Arizona opened at 1-ish. It moved up to 2.5. Everybody's betting Arizona. I kind of like Houston, right? They were tough over the weekend. I think Houston might be the best team in that region. Top to bottom.
Houston stuff.
I think I'm going to wait to bet Houston because I think that line's going to be bet up to 2.5, maybe 3. And I think by Saturday, what is that game? I think it's that game's on Thursday. I think by Thursday evening, like when we do this show Thursday morning, I think I'll get 3 with Houston, and that'll be probably another play. So I think the early bets in the Sweet 16 for me, Texas Tech, Miami, good luck finding good numbers there, but I bet them early. And then I think I'll get Houston, but we're going to wait on Houston. We're going to get a better number later this week.
Got you. Before we move on, we got Jared in the chat saying that he's got the points with St. Peter's. He's taken the 12.5 points with St. Peter's.
I don't mind it. I wouldn't lay 12.5 with Purdue's shitty defense. That's for sure. They were giving.
Listen, don't lay. It's the NCAA tournament. Don't lay 12.5 points.
Agree.
Take the points. Have fun.
Totally agree.
Have fun, right?
Totally agree. Shane Connolly's in the chat too. Shout out Shane. Does a great job with the social media here on Pickswise. Bacon, egg, and cheese, salt, pepper, ketchup. Do you go salt, pepper, and ketchup on yours too?
I go none of those.
None of that.
Well, the ketchup on it. Someone else told me that ketchup on it a little weird. The salt and pepper, I'm good on all that. I think there's enough salt in all that stuff, so I'm good on the salt. Pepper, I need to put the pepper on myself if I put it on at all, because some people are a little heavy-handed, whatever. But the one thing I will say about the experience of the bodega, chopped cheese. I was unaware of what chopped cheese was until I had to look it up, but I wasn't going to look it up like before or after. Like, I looked it up after. Interesting. I'm going to have to try that next time. I'm going to have to try the chopped cheese.
I'm a cheddar guy. You know what I do a lot too? Pepper jack. Big pepper jack.
Pepper jack?
Yeah, it gives it a little spice. Because I do like hot sauce on my eggs when I just eat eggs straight up. And the pepper jack kind of mimics that. And it doesn't make the bacon, egg, and cheese soggy. Here's the key. And people don't realize this. You order it on a roll or you order it on a bagel?
Bagel.
Gotta go roll. Hard roll, toasted.
Maybe that's why. Is that why I caught a look?
Probably. People get really offended with the bread choice. Like, if you go wrap, that's like,
Oh, no.
Like that's like, I think you got to go hard roll toasted. Try that next time.
If I said wrap, I think that the guy would have looked at me like, you seen the Soup Nazi episode of Seinfeld? It would have just said no. The guy would have just said no. Like, no. Yeah. All right, let's move on to the NBA here as we kind of close things out or come to the final couple of games of the regular season here. Things are starting to tighten up a little bit. Bulls, 14-18 in their last 32 games after starting so hot here. 2-8 in their last 10. They've fallen to 5th in the East. It seems like just the other day they were battling for that 1 seed. When you look at this Bulls team, granted, they have been dealing with a lot of injuries, still missing Lonzo Ball, missing Caruso. When you look at this team, do you think this is a good buy low spot for the Bulls?
I've always been kind of off on the Bulls this year. And to me, when you look at Jared explaining bacon, egg, and cheese is like telling us his keys to Texas Tech winning. I hope bacon, egg, and cheeses are more entertaining than Texas Tech, Jack, but that's just me. Back to the Bulls. I think the Bulls, so they were already heading into the year a team that nobody expected to be a top 4 team. So the one thing I do notice, and I think the Knicks are the perfect example of this, regression. Now, maybe with the Knicks, it was last season to this season, regression. With a team like the Bulls, it's first half of the year, second half.
The Wizards.
Exactly. And I think when you look at teams and that's why when we get to the playoffs and we're like, oh, this team was X number of games above 500 against the spread this year. Yeah, but what are the trends? Were they 55, 60% against the number in the first 3 months and 45% the last 3 months? Or were they consistent against the number all season long? I like to find, and I do this in the NFL too, I want to know what your ATS, what your ratings, what your efficiency was the last month of the season heading into the playoffs. Are you trending up or are you trending down? I think it's safe to say with the rest of the Eastern Conference, the way it's shaping up, especially with Milwaukee coming on as strong as they are, I think it's safe to say the Bulls are a sell heading into the playoffs. Whereas a team like Milwaukee is a buy. Those teams early in the year, Milwaukee was a little down. Maybe they were feeling their druthers a little bit after winning the title. And Chicago was the team in that division that was making all the waves. Well, now they're the second place team, and I think deservedly so. And I think that's where things will finish. They're only 2.5 back in Milwaukee, but I see more regression down the stretch for the Bulls than I do positive, considering how well they played in the first half.
Yeah, absolutely. On the other end of the spectrum, we got the T-Wolves. They're on a tear right now, 9-1 in their last 10. Just a half game back of that 6th seed. And you look on DraftKings at their seeding odds. It's set at 6.5. With the under getting – well, the under is at plus 190 and the over at minus 255. Which would you take? I mean, there's no way you're laying 255. Like you're not betting that. So do you think that they can be a 6 seed or better?
The reason why I would say no is because they've got Denver. They got the Clippers, who's pretty far behind. Probably don't have enough juice to catch them. There's only 10 games left.
Yeah,
like T-Wolves have played 72 games.
They're half game out. So
if I was flipping a coin right now and I had a choice, so Denver's in the 7th spot. They're tied, same record, 42-30. I think if you asked me 7-game series today, all 7 games on a neutral court, Denver wins that series, right?
I think so.
You take home court out of it. You take all the outside variables out of it. Which team, pound for pound, is better right now?
I trust Denver more. I trust Denver.
I trust Jokic and I trust Murray a lot more, no doubt.
Yeah. I guess what it's going to come down to down the stretch too is where these teams, because they're looking at the seedings, who do they want to play? How do they match up? That's the other thing. But I can't speak for you. For me, it's either a no bet, or if you think they can get the 6 seed or better, the plus 190, probably a no bet for me.
It'll be a fascinating playoff matchup, though. Like, let's say they do get the 6 seed, and let's say it's Memphis or even Golden State, Minnesota. That'd be I'll be honest. Golden State
team's frustrating.
That would be a very interesting first-round playoff series. Like, now that we're in the home stretch, and I had this in my notes today about the Jazz and the Nets game, like now that we're literally in the home stretch of the NBA, there's only 10 games left. The light is there at the end of the tunnel. The effort will increase. The teams that need to win, the max effort will be there. It's hard for me to say now. We've been saying it all year. Oh, the NBA isn't really max effort every night because these guys there's so much runway left in the season. Well, now that runway is really short, and that makes the intensity level ratcheted up. I think Utah is another one of those teams that I think will push through down the stretch because they're a team that's been there before. They're right now hovering on that 4 line, which is big because then you get home court in the first round. And they've got an interesting game tonight against the Nets where that line flipped overnight. Brooklyn was a favorite, laying 1. Now I think Utah's the favorite pretty much across the board. And anytime the games are in Brooklyn, no Kyrie. So you get this Jazz team that's been playing well. Donovan Mitchell's red hot, 16 threes in his last 2 games. That's a record, a program record or a team record. And they're a top 5 offensive defensive rating team over their last 5 games. They need to stay in front of Denver right now. They're only 3.5 in front of Denver to stay out of the play-in game. And I know there's a couple teams behind them still too, but that's jumbled there. I mean, the difference between Utah and Denver, the 4 and the 7 seed, is just 2.5 games. 3.5 games. So I get to Utah being another team that, again, the trend might say they were up and down throughout the year, but I could see them pushing down the stretch over their last 9-10 games and securing their seed and keeping that top 6.
One question for you, because you brought up Kyrie. What do you know offhand the date that the mayor can renew the vaccine mandate? Because I think that's coming up in the beginning of April, if I remember.
I think it's soon, but good luck trying to figure out.
That's going to be huge, whether or not that gets renewed.
100%
for the Nets. And that's
there's so many variables there, and to be honest with you, if you want my personal opinion, it's a joke that he can attend a game courtside and can't play. Like, he was at the ACC tournament watching Duke.
Visiting team, opponents can come in unvaccinated, correct?
It's a joke. And I don't want to get into politics. It's a political thing here in New York. We just switched mayors, and there's a lot of, hubbub about he's a big union guy, and there's a lot going on there, and it's not worth getting into behind the scenes. But the crux of it is he doesn't. From what I understand, the mayor feels like he doesn't want to put Kyrie above the rest of the citizens of New York. And that's kind of the position he's in right now. He can make an exemption for him, but he doesn't want to because he thinks it's a bad look he just kind of lobbied, to be elected on this man of the people kind of platform. And he doesn't want to put one person above the rest by letting Kyrie play. It's a tricky situation. I hope he plays, but it's weird. It's politics.
Sticky. Definitely something to keep an eye on, though. All right, let's talk about tonight's games. A little bit. I have a couple plays that I'm gonna
Yeah,
talk
what do
about
you got
here.
doing tonight?
Let's go to the Nets. Let's stay there for a minute because they're at home tonight against the Jazz. So that means no Kyrie, right? I'm looking at KD over 6.5 assists. I like the play, but I love the value. It's plus money on FanDuel right now. He's gone over that number in 2 of the last 3 home games. I think it's just worth a stab at this number, even though Utah is pretty strong defensively and one of the better teams, allowing the 4th fewest amount of assists per game. But Kevin Durant's gonna have the ball in his hands a lot tonight, especially without Kyrie. And I think with a strong defense, there's a chance that maybe they try to take KD out of the game. So he's going to be doing a lot of dishing, a lot of passing here. So over 6.5, he's gone over that number last two of the last 3 home games.
I don't mind it.
Speak here. So I just think it's a good play, and you're getting great value at plus 102 on FanDuel.
I don't mind that at all. I think the one play I would recommend tonight, I do like the Jazz at the Nets. I'm not betting it, but I'm kind of taking a day off from being a heavy gambler. It was a roller coaster weekend. But if it was a normal night and I just didn't bet on like 50 college basketball games in like a 48-hour stretch, I probably would have put a little bit of action on the Jazz tonight. Doncic props I know are on your card. I'm seeing a couple of them pop up on my projections. The rebounds prop is popping off to me. I would say plus money on over 9.5 rebounds against the T-Wolves. That's going to be an up and down game. And up and down games tend to have a lot of shots. And if they have a lot of shots, you got a chance for a lot of rebounds.
Could this be potentially a Luka triple-double? Are we on triple-double watch for Luka tonight, potentially?
I think against
this just seems fast-paced. It seems like that kind of game for him.
Yeah, let's take a look and see if FanDuel – sometimes they don't pop those numbers up till later in the day. Let me take a little peek right now and see if FanDuel has trip dub watch for our buddy Luka Doncic. That I think that would be a good way to play it. Yeah, here we go. To record a triple double plus 290. It's not bad. You throw a quarter unit there, a little sprinkle action. I would say so. Actually, that's an interesting thesis here. So over 9.5 rebounds is plus 104. You would
think, so they're saying that that's doable. Not
exactly.
far-fetched.
They're saying that the rebounds, he's basically a coin flip.
What's the assist? What's his assist?
I'm looking right 8.5 minus 120 to the over. So he's kind of already projected. Obviously, he's going to get there in points. He's already kind of projected.
He's projected to be at least teetering the line of a triple double.
Why not take a 3-1 flyer?
So take it worth a stab. Worth a stab at plus
100% worth a stab, plus 290. You might even be able to find a better number if you shop around. I just looked at one sportsbook, FanDuel. If you look at the other books, you might be able to find something a little bit better. But I would take a stab at Doncic triple-double tonight. Feels like that kind of game. I agree.
I'm going to save my my Luka play for plays today. Save that. Anything else, NBA, you want to touch on?
No, we've been talking about it. I'm still kind of on the edge of really getting involved. I think after this week of NCAA tournament games, we get through the Sweet 16, through the Elite 8, and we only have 3 games left, Final Four championship. Next week.
You've been kicking, no. I'm not gonna let you get that off. You've been kicking the can down the road with the NBA. When it was NFL, college football, you're like, yeah, once college football, once the playoffs wrap up, once we get past
the MLB All-Star
then you're in the NBA for like maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and it's like, oh, well, now we got the tournament. I got to start paying attention to college basketball. You've just been kicking the can down the road with the NBA. Next week is going to be baseball starting up.
Forget baseball. We're fine. This week, we're getting into the NBA. This week, I promise you, I don't know how many shows we're doing together this week. I know tomorrow and Wednesday I'm off. I know Thursday, Friday is tough, but at some point this week, I promise you, I will give out an NBA pick on the show. Just for you, Alex. Just for you.
I think, okay. I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to watch the shows.
We'll give out an NBA pick. But when I was looking at the standings last night, because I knew we were going to hop in this morning on it, I was like, oh, wow, there's only 9 games left. Like, okay, now it matters. Like, the regular season is, like, basically over. Like, it does – I do need to start getting more invested because if not, I'm going to feel like FOMO once we get into the playoffs. So this week, I will start looking at the NBA more. I will. I promise.
All right, deal. All right, let's move on to let's get a little virtual handshake going here. Let's move on to the ice. We got the trade deadline today, correct?
Yeah.
And
Big day.
big day on the ice. So what are you looking at when it comes to trades? I'm not on any place tonight, but I know you wanted to touch on the trade deadline a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I was talking to a couple NHL guys. I have one very trusted source that I rely on a lot for NHL picks. And I said, hey, what are we looking at on the NHL card tomorrow? He said, don't bet anything before the deadline. Just because now there's only 4 games tonight, which makes it easy. But there's a decent chance, not a decent chance, there's a chance that we bet on a game this morning at 10:30, and then by 3 o'clock, that team trades or acquires one of their better players. So I think if you're waking up this morning and you want to make a bet in the NHL, I would wait till 3 o'clock Eastern. I'm not an NHL insider. I'm not the Adam Schefter of hockey. I have no idea what these teams are going to trade, what's going on behind the scenes. I will say this. The Boston Bruins play tonight against the Habs. They already made a trade last night, yesterday. I forget what time, but they made a trade for Ducks star defenseman Hampus Lindholm and then signed him to an 8-year extension right after they traded for him. So the Bruins tonight, first game after a trade with a new basically he's going to be on the top defensive line, I think, or the second defensive line. We'll see what the continuity is with the Bruins. They've already been a very interesting team this year because they have a very young goalie, Jeremy Swayman, who's one of the best goalies in the league, plus 11.2 goals saved above expected. And the Habs have been a terrible team all year. They're like the second worst goal differential. They're 8-1-1 to the over in their last 10. So I could see that being an over game. Boston with a new defense pairing, new system. The Habs already an over team that give up a ton of goals. I think Boston wins the game, but the spread, the money line's astronomical. It's like minus 250. Can't bet that. But I could see Boston being a little bit shaky in the back, and with the Habs already giving up a ton of goals, that might be an over game. But officially, I don't have a play on this game, but I will definitely keep an eye on how the new defenseman, Hampus Lindholm, plays for the Bruins. It's going to be an interesting stretch run. A lot of good hockey teams that are on the outside of the playoff race trying to get in, and a lot of good teams at the top trying to secure their position. I'm super excited for the NHL playoffs. I really am. Our Ice Cats look to be
love it. Our Ice Cats hold on. Our Ice Cats, our Flames. Are they still our Avs? Or are they Lauren's Avs?
Those are Lauren's Avs. I'm off.
Lauren's Avs. Yeah.
I want a Flames Panthers Cup final. That's what I'm rooting for. We'll see.
Okay. We'll see. All right, let's finish things off. Get to the plays of the day. Got anything on the site? Any 3-star plays up?
Nothing today.
Okay.
So a couple of parlays. There's a hockey one. There's an NBA one. But I think all the Pickswise cappers taking a much-deserved break.
After been a long weekend. Long weekend for the people working on the site. Yeah. All right. So what are you looking at tonight? What's your play of the day?
All right. I'm betting this only because it's our job to give out a play of the day. If I wasn't doing this show today, I would not be gambling. So keep that in mind when you're betting this. I put a unit on it, but it's not one of those bets that I'm going to, go nuts about. But I did see one of our editors, Phil Agius, does a great job editing the site, had this as his best bet of the day. So I'm tailing him on this. It's the over 6.5 in Avs Oilers. And listen, this isn't like the sharpest play on the board. Obviously, these are 2 high-scoring teams. They've got a ton of talent on the offensive end. I don't need to give you the names. You already know them. And the Avs are really hot. They're coming off a 5-goal game against the Sharks. The Oilers are even hotter. They've scored 6, 7, 4, 4, averaging over 5.4 goals in their last 5. Avs overs 35, 20, and 5 this year. If you bet every over in every Avs game this year, you're up almost 13 units. Not going to go crazy here. We're going to throw a unit on the Avs Oilers over. It's the only thing I am wagering money on today. And
it's the only thing you're watching. You're taking a break except for that game.
We're contractually obligated to give out a play of the day, and I don't give out bets that I don't bet myself. So I have to bet this. But if you're not in the mood to gamble today, it's okay to take a day off. It was a long week. But if you are in the mood to gamble today, this is the one bet that I will be on. If you want to tail it with me, Avs Oilers over 6.5, laying just minus 104, short price, 4 cents over at FanDuel.
I like it. All right. I'm looking at Luka Doncic tonight, over 3.5 threes plus money. So I see a lot of great value there. Luka's really he's been throwing them up. He's attempted double-digit threes in 8 of 9 games this month, and He's gone over 3.5 threes in 4 of his last 5 games. So they've been falling for him also. Minnesota, not a great defensive team and not great at defending the 3. So I think this is a great opportunity for a guy who's put up he's a high volume shooter from 3. So good chance he gets 4 to fall tonight, plus money, great value. So I'm rolling with Luka tonight.
Love it. Luka's the guy tonight. I think that triple-double should be like a LBI family play. He's getting 25, 10, and 10 tonight. Maybe 30. 10 and 10.
4 for 8 from 3.
There you go.
4 for 8.
Love it.
I mean, I'll take
this.
That.
Is Luka's night.
I'd rather 5 for 8 just so I have a little. I'll take 4, but
half.
don't make me sweat it out, please. Question before we get out of here.
Yeah, what do you got?
Because I'm perusing FanDuel. I just so happened to click on the MLB tab.
Oh, we haven't talked. By the way, I am seeing sharp bets for spring training pop up on my feed.
I was gonna say, are we? Is spring training like? Can we?
I don't bet spring training because I have no idea. I don't have enough bandwidth in March, or really, it's gonna be April almost, to like really dive.
Here's the thing with spring training. You need to see the lineup. You need to see the lineup, though. I need to see.
You don't know when they're taking guys out. That's the hard part. Like you could see a guy with, like you could see like the good starting lineup in for the Yankees one day with all their big boppers, and then after 2 innings they're out. Like
they're out.
So it's really tough to bet it. But I'd be lying to you if I didn't say there are a lot. I saw like yesterday when I woke up in the morning. So the screen that I use to track my odds, I get these Steam alerts for like when sharp moves happen and the odds move considerably. I had to scroll through like 10 Steam alerts for spring training games before I got to like the basketball hockey of the day. And I was like, holy shit, people are freaking betting this spring training.
Really
I don't bet it, but if other people, like if I get Steam alerts on something, that means other people with big bankrolls that have smart, minds are betting it. And that means something, right? There you go. Right. So personally, I'm not betting spring training, but clearly it is something.
I think I'm with you. Spring training is just fun to watch. Like I love.
Absorb.
Hold on. Let's talk about your boy Hayden Wesneski. Is that pitcher?
What about?
Hold on. Threw a nasty 82-mile-an-hour slider the other day. I'll send it to you. Like nasty stuff.
I'm excited for baseball. Baseball is like a
22 inches of horizontal movement.
Wow.
Like just nasty.
We will be baseball is going to be one of those things this year. So like last year, I hopped on Pickswise. We were talking about it in like August. So like there was like a massive transition at the end of baseball season for me when we were just starting out this new gig, this new venture, this new show. And I think I felt rushed with a lot of the baseball handicaps I was giving out late August, early September. And then we dived into football. Like August, September last year with us starting this new venture and the way that the seasons change in the fall, very frantic. I'm excited to have a full baseball season to track and to do what we do on the show and to go through all the trends and all the odds and everything. I think it'll be I think it's going to be a profitable baseball season for us. I honestly do. It's a sport that is made for a daily betting show because the overnight lines, the overnight pitchers, the props that get released usually in the morning, right when we're live. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with baseball this summer. I really do. I'm excited.
I do too, until I look in the comments and I see someone asking about Orioles win total. So that tells me it's time for us to get out of here. We will be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Good luck with all of your plays tonight, and we'll be back tomorrow.